Well, thanks first of all, Penny, for having me. It's been so many years that we've crossed paths and known each other, and it's great to sit here with you. So I come to this work as a parent coach. I was originally a mental health counselor, and I found that in the world of kids with ADHD and other neurodivergent issues, we really need to understand the kid. We really need to understand the social and emotional impact that ADHD and executive function challenges and learning challenges have on learning, motivation, behavior, and the whole family system. So I went about developing my own kind of philosophy and program on putting parents at the center of the work. I've been coaching parents for over 15 years. And then about 10 years ago, professionals started saying, wow, I keep hearing from my clients and patients, you've been really effective. I want to do this work. So I actually train people around the world to be parent coaches. And then I found, as my parents were going into the schools and saying, wow, this is what's going on with my kid. And the teachers didn't know what the teachers didn't know, right? I roll with a teacher today saying, like, I need more tools, I need more knowledge. So about 10 years ago, I started my ADHD Teacher Trainer Academy, where I go into school districts or teachers come to our courses to learn how to work with these kids in the classroom. Because as you know, most of these kids are in the general education system. They're not really, they may be getting additional services, but they're mainstream. So we need the gen ed teachers to understand these kids on a deeper level. So that's the work. I've got my books, which I'm excited to say my 8 Keys book is now in a second edition. It's much more expanded, and we can talk about that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I meet teachers today, I usually say, "Thank you for your service." And my daughter, in honesty, is a special ed teacher. She's been doing it for 10 years. She took my training 10 years ago, and she said, "Mom, I didn't learn this even in graduate school." So, the teachers are good people, like, they need our s and our training and everything else. Yeah. Huge. Mhm. Okay. Absolutely. Well, y when I'm with a group of people, I usually start off this way, Penny. I say, "What do you think of when you think of enabling? Not what should we do instead, but give me examples," and I'll give you one. I'll start us off. An example of enabling someone, right? I would say one example is, "Come on, you know what 2 plus 2 is. You know it's 4, right?" Enabling. Can you think of examples? I can give you plenty, but can you think of others? Enabling someone? Right. So that's a great example. Another example I would say is maybe blaming someone else. Well, if the teacher gives so much homework or she had better training or she knew, and all of that may be true, but it's taking the focus away from, the child. So enabling is, when we're doing it for the other kid, where we're making excuses, where we're, you know, extra coddling, all of these things. But let's see what really happens. Because, you know, Johnny forgot his violin, and it's the 4th time this month. And what does the wonderful parent do? Bring exactly. But let's see what happened behind the scenes. See, Johnny's a good kid, and Johnny knows that, he's got to finish all his homework before he can practice his violin. That's what his parents told him. So, of course, getting his homework done took him forever, right? So he didn't want to disturb anyone. He went downstairs to the basement. He's practicing his violin. His parents called down, "Johnny, time to get ready for bed. Pack up after, but go take your shower. Start getting ready." So Johnny goes upstairs, he does it. Next day rolls around, parent goes downstairs, sees the violin. What do I do? If I bring it in again, those teachers are going to look at me and say, when is this kid going to learn? When are these parents going to learn? They're just enabling, right? But I'm so proud of Johnny. I mean, he made the bus today and his shoes. And okay, he's still fighting with his sister, but I've got that on that list of things we need to work on. And his room is a mess. Yep, I got to work on that. But, I don't want to punish him by having him not be in orchestra today, right? And get in trouble. So I'm going to bring the violin. So, by the way, Penny, what I tell teachers is I say, if that's happening, say to the parent, hey, I noticed that you're bringing the violin in again. Is there anything I could do to help? Because I might have some support. But let's get back to Johnny. So, parent has it on their list. I'm going to help Johnny learn how to pack up and remember his things. And as a coach, I've got lots of different ways I can help the parents solve for that issue. But that's not the issue at the moment. The issue in the moment is I want the parent to have grace for themselves. I want to understand that, you know what? Maybe I wasn't enabling. Maybe I was supporting in the moment. So here's my definition of enabling. My definition of enabling, I'll say it twice because I know I want parents to really hear it, and then I'll say it again. Yeah. So enabling is doing something for someone else without a plan to help them do it for themselves. The parent has a plan. The plan right now is I'm going to put it on that list, but I've got bigger fish to fry. These are more important items for right now. So for right now, I might be bringing in the violin. I might say to my child, hey, you know what? I'm bringing in your violin again, or I brought your violin in again. We're going to have to work on that. So that at least I'm acknowledging with the child, hey, I'm doing something for you that maybe I shouldn't be doing all the time, but don't worry, we're going to figure that out. So enabling is doing something for someone else without a plan to help them do it for themselves. Exactly. I mean, you know, it's really hard. One of my big philosophies is parent the child you have, right? Not the child you thought you'd have, not the child you wish you'd have, not the child you'd have if society got its way, right? But that child you're blessed with. And you are the one that know if you're enabling or supporting. So give yourself a little grace. Don't worry that the outside world is saying, oh, I can't believe you're bringing in that violin in again. You know what you're doing. Mhm. Yeah. Right. Perhaps. What? 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 And the other thing that you're doing is you're prioritizing because we can't fix everything at once. We just can't. It creates too much anxiety, too much pressure, too much focus on what's wrong and not what's right. Right? So saying, oh, I'm going to pick up on that for now. Mhm. Or, well, the first thing I think we need to do is understand the child. And that's why I always start with a good, solid social emotional education with the parents. A lot of parents come to me and they say, "Oh, I already understand ADHD. I know what executive function challenges are." But when I scratch the surface a little bit, I recognize and they recognize that there's more that they need to learn. Things like processing speed and working memory, initiation, and all of that, and emotional regulation. So we really want to know that child, right? Because as I said before, parent the child you have, they're all different from each other. So before I start building on all those strategies, I want to help them be able to look at their child and recognize, oh, maybe it's their processing speed that's slow in the moment. And that's the reason that they're getting overwhelmed and everything else. Maybe it's not because of, whatever else. The strategies build from that. So as we build that foundation of understanding our child, then we're able to say, okay, so for example, let's say working memory, right? There's three kinds of memory, right? We've got short-term memory. I need juice, eggs, and milk. We've got long-term memory, your childhood phone number or something that is so grounded in you, it's muscle memory. But then that working memory piece, integrating the information you're getting with what you already know. Think about, if you were going to do a long division problem, right? You would think about how to do the problem and then you'd get the numbers and you would know how to do that, right? That's your working memory, which is so important for so many aspects. I mean, we could spend a whole hour talking about working memory. But once I recognize, hey, my kid's struggling with working memory, then the strategies build from there. I can chunk it. I can give them one or two things to do at a time rather than five things. I can give a visual chart, right? With pictures of everything if they're a young kid, or maybe a list if they're an older kid. I can have them repeat it back to me. I can have mnemonic devices. All of these things can build from there. I mean, that's almost the easy part of figuring out the strategies that can work. The thing is, we need to know what we're solving for, what problem we're solving for. And that comes with the understanding. I love, yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're yes. Absolutely. Well, you brought up something so important that so many parents don't really understand or know, which is that when you've got ADHD, you could be up to 30% delayed in developing your executive function skills. So we all have executive function skills, right? But they develop at different rates. So kids who have challenges, because it's all the same part of the brain, right? It's all in the prefrontal cortex. So that part of the brain is developing, but it's developing more slowly. So that may be why, you've got this brilliant kid who's 10 years old but can't seem to pack up his backpack. Like, what's that about? Because that has to do with his executive functioning, not his intelligence. And that's why a huge population of what we name twice exceptional, 2E, right? Where you've got you've got the high intellect, but you've got the lower, executive function challenges or whatever else may be going on, right? So, yes, we've got that, 30%, 2 to 3 year lag, whatever, and things like impulsive control and working memory, task initiation, all of those different things. So what ends up looking like behavior problem, why isn't my kid listening to me, is actually not defiance, it's a lag in their executive function development. So it's not the same as, well, you're able to do all this math, why can't you do that? And that's why, in my training, in my Calm and Connected workshop series for parents, we start off with calm, right? Because without calm, we know there's no learning, right? And we need to have that relationship built on trust and communication, all of that. But then we're able to build on how are we going to deal with some of these defiant behaviors? Well, we're going to deal with it by understanding it and helping build skills for the child. And one of the greatest skills is going to be self-advocacy and awareness so that they are not caught in their own wheel of frustration. They're able to communicate with us and we're able to meet them and help problem solve. Yep. Mhm. Well, yeah. And I love what you pointed out because what it's really saying is, be curious, right? Because, if you say to your kid, hey, do me a favor, go upstairs, get your backpack, your shoes, your tennis racket. On the way downstairs, could you grab my water bottle and see if I shut my light off? And I know this from experience. What's the emotion so many of the parents are feeling right now? Angst, like, oh, my kid never comes down with all those things. And oh my God, I got. But now, if we understand that working memory is a thing and that maybe has a week of working memory, now I go into problem solving mode. Right? Now I figure, okay, how can I help him with that? And as we said before, charts, things like that. So I would say, in terms of the language, the internal conversation that I, as a parent, think is important to have is the curiosity and also recognizing that what you pay attention to grows. I'll explain that. If I am only paying attention to the challenges, the things that are going wrong, the things that are bringing me such anxiety and all the things I need to fix, I'm not paying attention to, wow, look at the magnificent kid I have. That's why my workshop starts off with, okay, we've got all these challenges, but tell me something wonderful about your kid, right? Don't lose that. What you pay attention to grows. Pay attention to that other stuff too, and say that stuff out loud. One of the greatest hacks I have is, I talk to parents about praise and what that should look like. And my formula for praise is notice, name, and nurture. Notice something positive that they're doing, name what you're seeing so they know what you're noticing, and then say something warm about what that is. But if you could start off each day, have 10, I don't care whether it's rubber bands or cute little bracelets or 10 pebbles in your pocket, or if there you can still find pennies, 10 pennies in your and every night, they're collector items now. But every time you praise your child, put it on the right side. And every time you need to correct them, because you will, even if you're saying it nicely and appropriately, put it back on the left side. At the end of the day, your job is to make sure that they're hearing a lot more praise than correction. What you pay attention to grows. And then think of all the different directions that they're giving themselves, that they're hearing from other people, well-meaning people in their world, right? So that would be the other thing I would say. Really noticing what you're focusing on internally so that you're putting it out there to them so that they're seeing it because you're really a mirror to who they are, right? You're a mirror. When you're going like this, even if you're doing it because, oh, I forgot to pick up the laundry or I forgot to, put the laundry in the dryer, what they're seeing is, oh, what did I do wrong? 'Cause they're always, oh, uh-huh. Why? Right. Mhm. Why? Uh, So, yes. Wow. Right. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh. Take some pressure off yourself if you think that you can fix your kid. You're not fixing. Your kid was born who they're supposed to be. Your job is to help them flourish. This is not about making them less shy, less this, less this. This is about connecting with the exact person that they came into this earth being because there's a reason they are that way. And that's what's going to unfold. The cover of my book is a cactus flower. And that's because my philosophy is these kids, they're not like clay that you can just gently sort of, you kind of mold them a little bit and they'll go the way you want them. These kids are like cactus flowers. If you've ever seen a cactus, it's prickly on the outside. You can't to grow, you can't, it's even sometimes kind of hard to touch, but when you see that flower, it's gorgeous. Who they are inside is beautiful. You know, let them develop. Give them the support that they need, right? But don't think you need to fix them or change them. You just need to bond with them and connect with who they are. Mhm. Yeah. Awesome. Absolutely. So my website is PTS Coaching, and that stands for Pathways to Success, PTS Coaching, because I think these kids have this kind of a pathway, right? It's not path. So it's ptscoaching.com. You can email me. I'm very responsive. You can email Cindy at ptscoaching.com. And I do have a special gift for your listeners. If you go to ptscoaching.com /beautifully complex, you can be able to download. I have some free gifts for you. I have a parent wheel and a student wheel, which are really good tools to understand where you are in your journey and the work you want to start doing, and helping your child understand where they are in their journey. And also, you can get the first chapter of my book, 8 Keys for Parenting Kids and Teens with ADHD. You can download the first chapter for free. And if you are listening to this before February 17, 2026, my publisher, Norton Publishers, is offering 20% off and free shipping for the book. So you can get that also on that same link. You'll see that information. So, thank, thank you. I'll mention, and you, anyone you know wants to get into this field. It's such a growing field. We have such a big need to really support people. So if you know anyone that wants to be a parent coach or a teacher trainer, or go into school districts, or if you need someone to go into your school district, I and my staff can do that as well. Because we've got to get everyone just really just understanding these kids more, right? Yeah. Thank you.